everybody. I hope everyone's doing well. Well, today it is July 20th, 2024, and I'm here to do a life update for you guys. I know it's been a little bit. It's been a month. It's been exactly a month since I've been on here. I'll put a link here to the last video that I did. In that video, it was an after therapy talk where I have therapy on Wednesdays through Zoom. And then when I'm done, I fire up the camera and we talk. And in that video, I basically talked about the healing that I was going to start the process, the techniques. My therapist was going to start the techniques for me to start a healing process from a lot of my childhood traumas that I have brought with me at 55. And we were going to start these things. And that was the last time I talked to you guys. That has not happened because a lot of things has happened since then, a lot. And we're going to get into all of it, you guys. We're going to get into all of it. However, first I want to talk about a video that I seen that really, really spoke to me. And it really talks about where I'm at right now. And then I'm going to give you 5 different weigh-ins, which is also going to tie into the video that I seen. And then I'm going to give you my update, which it's all going to tie in. Okay. I've tried to record this once. It was a little too long. I do think this is going to be long. It's just a lot. And so I really want to make sure that I touch on a lot of things. All right. Okay. Before we move on, I just want to talk about my eye situation. I have a dry patch right here. It's really, really dry. This eye is dry too, but this one got hit hard. I think I do know what the culprit was. I removed it about 2 days ago, and now the itchiness is not there. It looks worse than what it is, I think, at this point. But yeah. Anyway, moving on from that, I just kind of want to let you guys know in case you guys like, why does her eye look a little bit different? All right, let's go ahead and talk about the video really, really quickly. Now, this is a video that I seen from Nisha, and Nisha is Dr. Ken Berry's wife. Now, I follow the ketogenic diet, and I get a lot of, if not all, my information from Dr. Ken Berry and his wife. Okay. He's a medical doctor and of 25 years. And I do believe that he has left his practice to be on social media. And also he goes across the country talking about the way human beings were designed to eat. And I also think he's gone other countries to talk about it as well. His wife was a registered nurse, and I do believe she has left her career to work alongside her husband and help him. They have a website and all these things to really help people to eat properly. And they believe that we should be eating a ketogenic diet. And so because I do that, I follow him. Now, I will explain a little bit of the ketogenic diet and what it is because it relates to her video. So let me explain. So ketogenic diet means low carb, really, really low carb, right? Close to no carb as you can. Okay. So you start with keto, which I do believe runs about 50 grams of carbs or less. And by the way, these are whole foods. Okay. These are whole foods, not boxed foods or anything like that. Keto, you run about 50 grams or less of carbs. And then you have Ketovore, which runs about 10 grams of carbs. Then you have Carnivore, which is no carbs really, just whatever you get in the animal food-based foods, your animal protein foods, whatever's in there, that's it. And then there's a lion diet, which I don't know what that is exactly, but if it's like the lions, then it's probably raw, raw meat. I don't know, but that's like at the top of the chain. And so you have these different sort of categories when it comes to the ketogenic diet. And so she did a video about a week and a half ago where in the video she talked about how she came up, I think, like I said, I think she did coin it, was the Ketovore name. And that is because she doesn't do 100% carnivore like her husband all the time. She goes on a carnivore diet when she tries to do an elimination diet and how she resets her body. But she can't do keto because a lot of the things, like a lot of the vegetables, really irritate her. That's where I fall. And so I cannot have, like, let's say avocado. I cannot. I mean, my stomach will bloat up so bad. And a lot of the vegetables have a lot of oxalates and lectins, and those are just, they raise havoc on me. And so I could have like broccoli and onions, and so I like to have that. So it's not a carnivore, because carnivore would be everything, no, like avocado oil. You can't cook with avocado oil. But in the video, she ended up going a little bit off track, because she started talking about personal responsibility. And she started talking about how we all have to have personal responsibility at the end of the day. And she was saying that the ketovore diet, or the ketogenic diet rather, the ketogenic diet really isn't meant for weight loss on its own. Yes, it could be a great tool for weight loss, and you do lose weight on it, but it's not meant for exclusively on its own. There are personal responsibilities and certain things in our life that we need to look at. It could be the diet, it could be the food. It could be, you could have everything here going pretty balanced, but it may be the foods, and maybe certain foods you need to eliminate, even within the ketogenic diet. Again, maybe you got a lot of inflammatory markers with certain vegetables, and you have to be able to say, okay, I can't eat those. Maybe get optimal health, and then have them every now and again, like me, avocado every now and again. And so it may be that, but a lot of times it's a lot of other things that we have to make decisions, and they're hard choices that we have to make. And one of the things that she said is that she had heard that sometimes the weight that we have to lose is not our own weight. And when she said that, I understood what she was talking about. I got it. And sometimes you have to make difficult choices in order to achieve better health. Better health. And it could be anything. Now, she didn't go into specifics, but I'm going to assume, it could be your job, it could be relationships, it could be an environment you're in, you know? It could be anything that will affect the scale, affect your optimal health. And so it's not just the diet. It's not just the diet. The ketogenic diet for them, and it works for me too, I believe it to be for me too, is the way we should eat. But it cannot just rely on the food. It's not the end all or be all. It's a lot of other factors. And those are sometimes hard to make. And sometimes it's like she said, it's not our own weight we have to lose. It's rang so true. So I want to talk about why it resonates with me, because in 2023 I set out to do that. I set out to do just that. I didn't know what I was going to do. I just knew coming into 2023 that I wanted to not focus on the diet, not focus on exercise, and not focus on the scale. That my optimal health was going to come from reducing stress. I knew that. That's all I knew. The first half of the year, I fumbled. I was dealing with things, I was approaching things, but I really had no sense of direction. In July 5th of 2023 is when I said, okay, I at the very minimum need to get on a full-time, get back on my ketogenic diet, full-time. And I did start with slowly bringing down the carbs. I did it that way. So I wasn't necessarily doing the ketogenic diet as much as I was doing low carb. But I started there because at least at the very minimum, I knew that I needed to help my body, giving it the best that I could to help me deal with everything that was to come. Again, I knew not what I was going to do, but I knew that my marriage was at the very, 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 very top alongside other things. Coming into 2024, that's when things really started happening, and we'll get into that here in a little bit. But I understood the video, I understood the message, and I knew that I was definitely on the right way of thinking. That I just was, there were times where I was doing the ketogenic diet, and it was frustrating me because I wasn't losing weight, not what I felt I should, And by the way, when I started officially going hard on keto was July 5th of 2023. Like I said, I was not going to, I was just doing that at the minimum, right? Because I was going to deal with all this. I came in at 207.6. That's what I started in at. And since then, I have lost weight, but it's been slow. It's been uber slow. And I understand why. I understand it. That video, in so many ways, made a lot of sense to me. And it spoke to me because that's exactly where I'm at. So talking about personal choices, personal responsibility, hard choices, that's what I'm doing. That's where I'm at. And so it's going to tie into the weigh-in, and it's going to tie into the update that I have for you guys. So let's go ahead. Let's go ahead and get into some numbers really, really quickly. Okay. So the last time that I seen you guys or came with a weigh-in was I came in at 177.6. I'll put the video here for that one where I talked about how I went up and down and things like that. So 177 is when I 0.6 is what I came in at the last time. However, the lowest that I've been since my health quest or health and healing, now that I call it now, is 173.6, and that was on July the 7th. That's what I came in at the lowest since starting this in 2023. But I got up, I went up again. And so finally, when the last video I came in at 177.6. All right. So let's go into now other weigh-ins. On the 28th, I came in at 178, which was a 0.4 increase. On the 4th, I came in at 181, and that was a 3-pound increase. Now that number is actually the highest that I've been back up since losing my weight, okay? Since going down all the way to 173. That is the highest that I've been so far. And then on the 11th, I came in at 179.2. That was a 1.8 pound loss. And then now on the 18th of August, I came in at 180.4. So that's where I'm sitting today, as 180.4. Before I go on into the updates, what I want to do is I want to talk about where I'm at now, today. But before I do that, I want to give just a little bit of a backstory because some of you who are new or who are just jumping onto my channel for the first time, I hope you stick around. I really, really do. I'm on a health and healing from the inside to really finally heal so much of my life, and to finally, hopefully, at 55, soon to be 56 and on, it will be with a much different mindset. That's what I'm working for. And then also healthier and finally reach 145. And for those of you who have been with me and are still sticking with me, thank you so much. I can't even express how much I appreciate it. I can't. I just can't. So thank you so much for you sticking with me. And okay, let's get on to a little bit of a backstory. All right, I've talked about how I started this journey. However, the issue that I'm going to talk about is my marriage, okay? My marriage of 24 years. That has really been a very big issue in my life, alongside a lot of the traumas of my childhood, which I will talk about. But I said that I was going to start dealing with it in 2023. However, in 2024, things really happened. In March, I separated from my husband. The separation, however, I want to say is nothing external. There was no external things that happened to cause my separation. So there's no marriage, no affairs or anything like that, no substances or abuses of any kind. Nobody's on anything like that, okay? It's all really an internal thing between us as a couple. So I got separated in March because of something that happened between us, okay? Something that happened. Now, I went into therapy April 24th is when I finally went into therapy, because I knew that I wanted to go into therapy, but since the separation, I was all kinds of even more confused. I doubted everything, decisions I was making. There was just a lot going on in this head. And a lot of that has to do with what I'm dealing with in terms of my childhood, okay? Healing the things that happen in childhood. So a lot of the way I feel about myself, think about myself, or interpret what people think about me, it all in these negative ways, has been formulated and developed by my childhood traumas that I actually brought into my 55 years of age. And so because the marriage has been dysfunctional, it had a direct influence of the way I feel about myself. Okay. So I couldn't do it anymore, and I ended up getting help. Now, I will say at the beginning part of the therapy, I was learning a lot about him. I was learning a lot about my marriage. But the change came when he ended up moving back home due to financial issues. Okay. These issues, we got hit hard at the beginning of the year with something that we had to go through. And it really took a chunk of our savings out. Okay. But it was well worth it. When it comes to your children, it's well worth it. So it did cause for us to come together, talk. And I believed that I could do it, that I'm going in therapy now and that I can do this. Okay. That I can do this because I'm in therapy now. The other thing that helped was that he started going to his therapist. And so I thought I could do it. And one of the things that I've always done in any given situation is I sort of keep it pushing, what I call keeping it pushing. You know, I'm working on it, or whatever it is that I rationalize in this brain, whether it's my fault because you caused it, whatever it is, it doesn't matter. What I do is rationalize it and I believe whatever. And then in this case, when it comes to my marriage, I fell back into that mode. Even though he's in his room, I'm in my room. I thought because he's working on it, I'm working on it, I could do it. And so what ended up happening in March, I ended up pushing it all the way down. But it really never goes away. And let me tell you something that really is important for me to relate to you guys so that you can understand something. One of the things that I also have learned is that our bodies will definitely give you signs first before your mind does, before the mind snaps or the mind has a breakdown or the mind says, I can't do this. And it just, right? Your body already starts telling you these things. And so for me, at 38 years of age, I was diagnosed with hypertension and due to chronic stress. And it had already been talking to me about the stress issues in my life. And there have been recently a lot of things that were scaring me a little bit, that were happening, signs that my body was expressing, that I was getting in trouble, I guess you could say. And also the scale, back to that video that I talked about and shared about from Nisha, where she says sometimes it's not the diet and that won't let the scale move. And so the scale was also talking to me because I've been doing the ketogenic diet. And like I said, a lot of the weight that I've lost hasn't been much, but I understand it. That's pretty much how it's kind of been. And so now let me give you the update. Leading up to the 28th of, no, I'm sorry, the 31st, which was Wednesday, I was going to go into therapy and we were going to start the techniques to start healing, right? And leading up to that day, though, the weekend and the days leading up to it, like I said, my body had started really showing signs that I couldn't do it. And my mind really was tiring. Let's put it that way. And so when I went in on the 31st for my therapy session to start the process, one of the techniques, I told her I couldn't do it. And she says, what's going on? And I ended up telling her what happened in March. I told her everything that happened in March, and it took the whole session to get through it, the entire session. So much so that it spilled over 20 minutes. But she kept telling me, don't worry about the time. Don't worry about the time. Sorry, you guys, I have a fan happening. I told her everything that happened. I told her I can't do this anymore. I cannot keep pushing. We talked about it. Maybe we need to lose us to find ourselves again. Oh, it's time to go from lovers back to friends. But what ended up happening after I told her was that I felt pretty raw during that after therapy. You know, I felt like all the emotions and everything was so raw from speaking on it. I pushed it down so much, but you really don't. Like I said, your body does show its effect of what you're trying to do, right? But I felt raw. I felt all the emotions way up here, so that by the time the weekend came, I was a complete mess. My mind was a complete and utter mess. And I really felt like, I will tell you the truth. I will tell you that it was so bad that I lost my mom in 2020 due to C19. And I really felt like I had really dealt with her passing. I really did. But oh, even that all came out that weekend. It just came out so bad that you talk about feeling so in need of your mom. That was really bad, and there was nothing I can do. There was no getting a hold of her. I started praying, and I know she listens, and I'm a very faithful person, you guys, which I will talk about my faith as well. But I'm saying in that moment of feeling all those it wasn't just what happened in March that surfaced. I mean, just everything. It just came crashing on the 3rd. It just everything that can possibly come crashing came crashing. It's like my body it said enough, my mind said enough, and that's just what happened. And so I was talking and crying for mom. I'm not gonna deny that. I did. Started praying extremely heavy that day. I got a hold of my family member. She came, she helped. I also got a hold of my therapist. And so I was able to calm down. And then by the time the 7th came, my therapy session came, I really was a mess. You know, it was a relief to be in there, and I was really such a mess. And in that session, I can just tell you, we discussed it again, what happened. And however, I was given a lot of terminology, we'll leave it at that, and a lot of diagnoses when it comes to me. Things that really sort of had me pondering and sent me back, but also started the process of really starting to see things. Okay. So what I want to do right now before I continue on, I really want to tell you where I'm at right now, and then we'll come back to my therapy on the 7th, okay? Right now where I'm at is in a very good place. I feel for the first time, and this is going to sound very dramatic, but it is. For the first time, I understand a lot. I'm not aware of things. It's not about that. It's about true understanding, not only of why I do what I do, that I have already started that understanding, because that's been the focus of my therapy for the most part. But I also understood my marriage more deeply. I understand and understood where things came from, the certain things that I've been through in 24 years, and especially what I went through in March. I understood it for the first time because of what was said to me on the 7th. I saw, it was like literally somebody put fresh pair of glasses, and I saw things for exactly what they were. And because of that, I've been very, very much in a different space. Very hopeful, very determined, very compassionate, not just to myself, but to my husband. I've been very excited. I feel so good. I'm in a much different place overall. And it's all because you understand. You understand. On the flip side of that, however, because this is also new, this is a process that is still, things need to be worked at. And I'm going to speak on myself. I go back to a little bit of that keeping it pushing mentality sometimes. Sometimes it's just a moment, and sometimes it could be all day. Because I understand how change happens. I understand. I had talked about it before. I think the video I linked, I talked about it. The last video that I had with you guys, the after therapy talk. But I understand the different stages and how we do tend to go back quite frequently at the beginning, especially. But you go there a lot less, or you stay there a lot less. And I do that. I do. I do have melancholy moments. I do think about everything we've been through, and I get like a sadness. I do. It's not going to go away. It's definitely. But what I'm saying though is that I'm definitely much more optimistic about my life. Okay, I'm going to keep it on me, about my life. Okay, we'll talk about the marriage here in a minute. But what I'm doing, as sincerely, really, as of the 31st, as hard as it's all been, it's a part of what needed to happen. I mean, it was inevitable, I believe, that my mind was just going to be like, okay, this is where I reached. So that's where I'm at currently. Okay, I just feel really, just very, never felt this in 55 years. Never. Just see things exactly for what they are, why things happen. I get it. I get it. So back to the 7th. A lot of terminology, a lot of understanding, and a lot of reflections, and things that I heard that were really, really hard, especially the diagnoses on me. It was really hard to wrap my head around it. I questioned her. And I said, okay, I remember telling her when she said, a term. And I said, okay, you're going to have to revisit that because I don't understand why you're saying that. So what ended up happening was I was still, as much as I was becoming very aware, like I understood, it was still very confusing. And I still was feeling really, really raw, because then what? What do you do with all this, right, information? And so she felt that I needed to go see her again that week. And so on the 9th, which was Friday, I went in the morning on Zoom. I went and I had another session. And in that session, I was much more calm. I had time to really think about it, and I had different kinds of questions. And that's when things really started to come together for me. Really, really started to come together. I've been praying. And so for me, I will say this right here, is that a lot of things that I'm about to talk about really flow from my faith. It flows from, let's say, like from God, and it flows, what I do, what I say, and everything that's happening now when it comes to my marriage really is through my faith. It really, really is. And obviously through the help of my therapist as well. What now? What happens now, right? Well, now is where I'm even that much more separated from my husband. And let me explain. I'm not keeping it pushing. I understand. And I understand that this separation definitely is now an absolute separation. We live here. We're still here together. Why? Because financially we need to be. That's just the truth. And because in my situation, there is no imminent need for him to be out, or for me, we have come together, talked about our finances now, much deeper, much different, and we understand. So, I mean, finances, they're an issue. They are. However, aside from those things, I can tell you, for me, now that I understand so much, that I don't, when I talk to my husband, because this is new. I mean, this was just really from the 31st of July. I can tell you, especially after the therapy from the 9th of August, that we've had conversation, and I don't sit in any of our talks and I don't go either in my head or verbally. I don't go, but this, but March, but what about, I'm not reliving what caused me pain in my marriage 24 years. And I also understand, by the way, that when I said it seemed like as soon as we got married, everything changed, I get it now. I completely understand it. And so I don't have a need. There's none of that when it comes to me towards him. None of it. None of it. I understand him. I understand from where it came from. And I'm in a place in my faith and in my therapy where I'm able to sort it out, work through it, and heal. So I'm far from where I'm going to be. But I can tell you right now, this is the starting point that I needed. I needed this starting point. So I don't look towards my husband and go, da 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 da. You know, let me explain something really, really quickly. I think this is going to be the best way to do it. I'm going to tell you exactly what my therapist said, and I'm going to try to rush. You have a plate, okay? This is your plate of life. This is your plate. You remember how people say you have too much on your plate or whatever? Okay, you have a plate, okay? And you have the things that you put on it, right? The things that are good or bad and work on, whatever. You got this. For me, I had 24 marriage. Boom, dumped on. Then, because of who I am, okay, I have what is called, I don't have what is called, but what I do to myself is called cognitive distortions. We all do it to ourselves. We all have distorted thoughts, irrational thoughts. But I live by that. I do. When it comes to me, and that comes from my childhood, okay? That is what was developed through childhood, was cognitive distorted thoughts, distorted rationals when it comes to me, So that when somebody tells me about myself and they throw it on my plate, I keep it on my plate. I keep it because they know about me. If somebody's going to say, I can't believe that you do this or that. I can't believe you wear that. Or I can't believe whatever it is about you. I put it on my plate. I leave it right on my plate. And I take it. Not only do I take it, I really absorb it. This is what I'm working as a personal healing that I need to do. Well, when it comes to my marriage, when I understood from day one to today, I understood it all. I was able to take a big chunk, not everything, a big chunk, and take it off my plate. And this goes back to that video that I saw where she says, some of the weight that you have to lose is not your own. And boy, did that make so much sense to me. So much sense. And as far as the numbers on the scale, that's another thing that resonated with that video and where I'm at today. 180 pounds. It's not a lot of weight loss and I'm up, but I see it. I understand it. Let me just give you a side note. On the week where it got really bad on the 3rd, all that week from the 28th to the 3rd, even into the 4th, that week, I was in no ketogenic, nothing. I was eating out. I ate one day, I ate twice out in one day. And I had a bag of M&Ms. It was bad that whole week. But I get it. And I understand the numbers. In other words, I'm not harping on why can't I lose weight? It all makes sense. It all really is coming together. It's a lot. I think this is the most stressed that I've been in a long time. Like a long time. It was bad. My mind just could not anymore. And my body had been telling me. That is very, very true. Very, very true. My plate and everything that doesn't pertain to me is being emptied. But there's a lot on there. There is a lot. And that's the best way that I can describe. But when it comes to us living here, being here, obviously this is not going to be forever. And obviously there has to be a conclusion at some point. Maybe we need to lose us to find ourselves again. Oh, it's time to go from lovers back to friends. For sure. But in the meantime, I can tell you that for me, I can be here with him. I can. Now we all have personal responsibilities and we have hard decisions to make, and he has his own as well as I do. So this is definitely, we are more separated now than ever in a more, I guess, healthier way, at least for me. You know what I mean? I'm not trying to be separated, yes, physically, me in my room, him in his room. And yet when we come to common areas, I just keep everything down here because I'm keeping it pushing. Because I'm in therapy, he's in therapy. So in the meantime, I'll just keep this. No, now it's an actual separation. But it doesn't mean that I get to go on now. No, it means that I'm working on that in therapy. I'm working on it to heal a lot. I am. It's good to feel what I'm feeling right now, but there is a lot of work. That's truth. I still have a lot to go, but this is a really good starting point for me. It's a new starting point that I've never been in. Anyways, my friends, that is it. I need to get going because it's already 12:30. I gotta go eat. I gotta go make me my protein shake. And the numbers on the scale will go down. We will see them go down. I want to be 145 sometime in my life, but I understand them. When you understand and you have clarity, you understand why these are the way they are. I don't know. You just accept it and you just keep going. Feel like I'm headed in the right direction. But there is hard times to come, you guys. There is. It's not always going to be days where I feel on top of the world. It's not. There, like I said, I do go back sometimes to doubting myself and all that stuff. But I believe with healing and work that I'll slowly fall back less into those kinds of mentalities. And that's it. That is everything, my friends. I hope you guys are all doing well. I hope to come on here a lot more. I do. But I am. I'm going to come on here because I still want to do this with you guys. You guys, I choose to do this and I want to do this with you guys. All right. Take care and I will see you guys maybe this Wednesday when I do my after therapy talk. I'll come back. We'll see. I'll try. All right, guys. Take care. See you soon. Bye.
Oh, it's time to go from lovers back to friends.